Hello everyone, this is gonna be a new tutorial about saving a game, and you may find a lot of basic tutorials about saving a games, like how to save a character location or how to save a cube location, but unfortunately on normal projects it will not be enough to just save a character location. You will have to save a location of a big amount of actors, of other characters, of animals, enemies. You will need to be able to save like invade inventory data and so on. So during this tutorial series we will be able to create some kind of system that will help us saving a game in more easy way. So at first let's create a new folder and call it save game. And the first thing that we need to do, we need to create a blueprint class called save game. And it's gonna be just save game. Select it and name it somehow. I will call it bp main save. Well, this is an empty blueprint and it will contain some variables that have to be saved. Well, now we have to create some components that will handle loading and saving. So let's create a new blueprint class, actor component, and let's call it save game manager. Save everything. And this one will have such functions like save game, for example, load game, and that's it for now. Well, what do we need to do? Not every actor on the scene needs to be saved. Only parts of them, for example, my static mesh of a stone should not be saved. It will be at the same place every time. So we have to define whether we want to save an actor or not. So let's create a new actor component and create it savable actor. Save all and let's open it up. First thing that we have to do, we have to get an owner of this component, get its tags, and add some tag. Well, my tag is gonna be something like savable, just savable. Well, now we will be able to get all actors that should be saved. It will be every actor that has this component. Also, let's add a new variable and call it should be saved. And by default it's gonna be true. Because for example you may have one actor but in different states, and in one state it should be saved, in another not. For example, during a building, you will spawn an actor of a wall, and while you haven't builded it, it should not be saved. It should be saved only after it has been builded. Well, now we have to get some data to be saved. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna create a new structure. And let's create a blueprint structure and call it as savable actor data. Well, what it will have? It will have some basic fields. First is gonna be an actor class of type actor class. Well, second one is gonna be a transform of type transform. Well, I don't think that I need to save it in my game, but maybe you want to have some field like is actor currently visible or is it currently hidden. But for now, that's fine. Also, some of your actors may not have only transform or a class. It may have some custom variables. It may have some custom enumeration. For example, like my animal can have its own parameter for its current behavior, and so on. For example, tree can have a damage. And the way we're gonna do that, we're gonna create a new variable and name it custom properties. And it's gonna be a string map to another string. Well, Now let's close this as savable actor data and open our savable actor. Here we will create a new function called request data. And what we gonna do here, we're gonna ask an owner of this actor to give us some data. Well, by the way, we have to think whether it should be in a synchronous way or asynchronous. Maybe you want to finish some works, some jobs on your actor till you will return some data or not. Let me think a little bit. I think that I will not. That's why I will be able to just return this data here. Well, and the data is gonna, and we must have an output called data of type s, how have we called our structure? Savable actor data. So it's gonna be savable actor data. Well, now we have to ask our actor somehow. So let's create a new blueprint and let's create a new blueprint interface and call it BPI save data provider. Save all, open this interface. And here let's create a function called get savable data. And it will have an output called data. And it will have a type of savable actor data. Compile and save. Now here we're gonna get an owner and call this function. Call get savable data. And we're gonna return it. Okay, now let's open, for example, my stone basement. It looks like this. And I'm gonna add this component called savable actor. Save compile. By default, it is enabled. And also the things that we have to do is to implement this interface that we've just created. So let's open class settings. Also, I'm gonna delete savable actor from here and add it into a parent class of my basement. It's buildable part actor. So I'm gonna add savable actor here, open class settings, and in implemented interfaces, I'm gonna select BPI, save data provider. Save and compile. Now open my blueprints and on interfaces you will have a function that is not implemented yet, get savable data. Double click on it and you have to implement such function. So we have to return this data. Let's do it like this. Let's make as savable data actor. And an actor class is gonna be get class. Oh, not an interface, just get class. Well, get class. Yes, that's correct. Get class. Why can't I plug it here? Okay, object is gonna be self. And now I can plug it here. Then we're gonna get actor transform. Plug it here. Well, I don't have a custom parameters that are changeable for my buildable part, but you may have them, and if you have them, you can just make custom properties and enter some key and some value. Let me do it, for example, like this. Let me add a variable called health of type float. And I'm gonna provide it so that it needs to be saved. So I'm making a map and first key is gonna be health and the value is gonna be health. Convert it to a string. Compile and save. Now I can close BP buildable part and go back to savable actor. should I do here? Nothing, I think. So let's navigate back to Save Game Manager. Now we have to implement a function called Save Game. Well, first thing that we need to do before saving game, we should collect all data that needs to be saved. So let's create a new function and call it collect savable data. Okay, actors data. Compile, save. Well, what we're gonna do here, we're gonna get all actors with tag. And the tag is gonna be one that we've added in begin play of savable actor. My tag is savable, so I adding it here. So we're able to get all actors with tags. Now let's get a component. Let's, for each of them, we're gonna get a component by class. And component is gonna be savable actor. So first thing that we have to check whether this actor should be saved. So let's get should be saved and plug it here. Compile and save. Next thing that we have to do, we have to call get data. Not a savable data, how it's called, request data. We're gonna request data. And we should add this data into some array. So let's create a new local variable called datas of type, what is the type of this data? Savable actor data, savable actor data. And make it an array. Now let's get it here and add a new field, data. Well, when everything is finished here, we're gonna return this array. So let's add a return node on completed node of for each loop. We're gonna get datas, plug it here, and let's call it data. Now let's navigate into save game function. What we need to do here, we're gonna collect savable actors data at first. And we have to check whether currently we already have a save game. Slot name is a slot name, so you may have save 1, save 2, save 3, save 4, and so on. So it's gonna be a save 1 by default, but by the way, it should be provided in an inputs of a save game function. Or counted. Or it should be counted like the last save game slot was save 2, then a new one should be save 3. Well, we will only work with one slot for now. Now let's check whether save game already exists. Also, I'm gonna call it from a small letter, save 1, because I think that I have already one from a big one, from a capitalized. So, if save game doesn't exist, then we have to create a new. So let's create save game object here. So it is false. If it is false, we are creating a new save game object. And the class is gonna be bp main save that we have created earlier. Well, now we need to open our bp main save. And here on variables, we have to provide a data that is gonna be saved with this main save. So let's create a new variable and call it actors data. And it's gonna be an array of savable actors data structures. Make it an array. Compile, save. Well, back to save game manager. Here, after creating a save game object, we have to set this variable. So we just call set actors data. And it's gonna be this data. Let's promote it into local variable and call it actors data. Well, get actors data from local variables and plug it here. Now field is set. Maybe we will have other fields that have to be saved, but now it's just on actors data. Now we can just save game to slot. We have such function, and now it will be written on a disk. So we have to provide a save game object. This is one that we've just created, and slot name save one. It's gonna be the same as here. Compile and save. Well, now our game will be saved. In other case, if the save already exists, then we have to override it. So let's load save load game from slot. Slot name is gonna be save1. Well, we don't need to load it, by the way. We can override it with in the same way. So we don't have to check whether a save game exists right now. It may be used in future for example, telling character whether he's sure that he want to override a currently existing save, but now we don't need it. And let's at the end, let's print whether a save was successful. Now we have to call this function from somewhere. Let's add the save game manager to our character. Let's open BP main character. In my case, it's called BP main character. And okay, let me delete this. Compile, save, and add this component, save game manager. Well, we have to call this function, save game and load game from somewhere. So let's add some input, debug key O, for example, for saving. And we're gonna get save game manager and call save game from here. And let's add a new one, debug key L, for example. And we're gonna do the same, but we're gonna call load game from here. Compile and save it. Well, now let's check whether our save will be saved. I'm tapping O and it's written true every time. So it's overreading and everything is saved, maybe. Well, now let's implement a function called load game. So what we're gonna do? We're gonna check whether a save game exists. Does save game exist? So a save game at slot save 1. And if it exists, then we're loading. In other case, let's print some text like save game doesn't exist. Well, on the true, we're gonna load game. No, load game from slot. And the slot name should be the same as here. Also, in default, it should be provided somehow from an input of a load game, but we don't have it right now. Okay, slot name is gonna be save1. We're gonna cast it to BP main save, because by default it is just save game object. Well, from here we can get actors data. Well, now we have to handle this actors data somehow and print it. Oh, and not print it. I mean, we have to spawn some actors with the data that is stored here. So let's create a new function and call it load actors from save data. And save data is gonna be a data savable actor data. It's gonna be an array. Compile and save. And let's call this function from here and plug actors data here. Well, what we're gonna do here, we're gonna loop through each actor data that we have. Then we're gonna break it. And first thing that we need to do, we have to spawn an actor. You have to spawn actor from class. Well, now we have some custom properties and they cannot be handled by the save game manager and they cannot be handled by this savable actor, by the way. they can be handled only somehow by my buildable part, because my buildable part knows about health in these custom properties. But for example, another actor that have such component like savable actor will not know about such parameter, and it will handle them in its own way. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna open our save data provider and create a new function and call it handle handle cust okay load custom save properties. And now, by the way, it's not a provider already, but I don't know how to name it right now. And an input will be a properties. By the way, we should honestly make a new interface, but I don't like how the management of interface works in Unreal, so I don't want to create a new one. Well, now we have this new function, and on save game manager we're gonna get the sector and call this function handle well custom pro load custom save properties, and here we have to provide these custom properties. Well, for now it will not do anything, but let's open my buildable part or any actor that implements this interface, and you will have a new function called load custom save properties. And well, it is an event now because it doesn't return anything. So here we already can get, we can find, we know that custom properties for this object should have health, and we're gonna get, no, not get health, and we're gonna type in health, and we're gonna set health here like this, and let's print I don't know how we will test it, by the way, but it will work. It should work. Now let's open our save game manager, load game, and check what we have here. We're checking if a game exists. We're loading a game from a slot, casting it, and loading actors from save data. Now let's test it out. Let me pick up my hammer, build a basement, for example. Build some other types of building. Well, and now let me tap on O, if I remember right. Oh, now the game should be saved. Now let's restart the game. And let's type on L. And as you can see, everything that I've created appeared at the same locations. Well, and unfortunately, I really don't know how to show you how health works. Let me oh, okay, let's do it like this. So let's open a stone basement. For example, or not. Let me open my buildable part, and I have a function called setPreviewing, and it is false when it is builded. Well, and when my, for example, basement was built, I'm gonna generate a new health. So let's set health, and let's make it a random float in range from 0 to 100. And let's print it. So let's print health. So now when I will build some part, we have a printed value on the left corner, like 25 health. Now let's print it on load. So let's open load custom save properties, setting health here, and let's print it again here. So we're gonna print a health that was loaded. Okay, let's build a basement, one, and its health is 74. Now, let me save a game, restart it, and load the game. And its health is 74, the same as it was. So, that's it for this video. Also, I would like to mention that it works easily with some basic types like float, integer, and etc. Converting from string to this type. But string cannot be converted, for example, into a transform. Also, string is hard to convert into enum. Well, it's not hard, but you have to write your own converter. You will write something like this. You have to switch on a string, add some pins, and if it is basement, then you're setting a type basement. If it is a wall, you're setting an enumeration type wall. That's it. So that's it for this video. Hope it will help someone, and thanks for watching.